For years, the Atlanta Falcons have had a problem, a big problem, a huge problem. It's the kind of weakness that kills seasons and puts a hard cap on any potential, no matter how good the offense is. That problem, a pass rush that was too nice, basically invincible. What's up, Falcon family? Dirty Bird Nation, welcome to another episode of Atlanta Falcons Fandemic. The heartbeat of the Dirty Birds faithful, where the fans never waver and the passion never dies. I'm your host, Manuel McFarland, the trusted voice for diehard Falcon fans who live and breathe this team. In 2024, the team was next to last in the entire league with just 31 sacks. They haven't had a single player hit 10 sack mark since 2016, which is the longest drought in the NFL. Let that part sink in. For 7 straight seasons, losing seasons, quarterbacks could comfortably set up shop in the pocket, read a magazine, and pick the Falcons secondary apart. The defense had no fire, no enforcer. It lacked an edge. Let's all take a look into the premise of breathing life into this defense. When new head coach Raheem Morris and now new defensive coordinator Jeff Albrecht came to town, they didn't just talk about improving. They talked about getting meaner. They had a philosophy, a clear vision to inject the one thing this defense desperately needed, what they called controlled violence. Albrecht laid it out perfectly. We're trying to develop a culture, a style of play for sure, he said. Part of that is the violence in which we play, aggression, urgency, and all that. Y'all remember back in, don't quite remember what it was, early last season, where Coach Raheem Morris gave David Onyemata a compliment. And if I may quote him, he said, David Onyemata is a violent individual. And we saw a couple of plays of that last year. Well, I say a couple, more than a couple of plays, quite a few plays, but we saw evidence of that last year. Well, this year, the premise is to add to that violence. This wasn't just talk. And the front office backed it up. They signed veteran pass rusher Leonard Floyd, and then they got aggressive in the 2025 NFL draft. First, they snagged Jalen Walker, a tough edge from Georgia. But they weren't done. In a power move, a perennial quest to find a second dominant pass rusher, the Falcons traded a future first-round pick to jump back into the first round. The target, a long, explosive, and notoriously fiery pass rusher from Tennessee, James Pearce Jr. Some draft analysts said they were skeptical about the pick, displaying character concerns that caused Pearce to slide down some draft boards. But where others saw red flags, the Falcons saw exactly what they were looking for. Raheem Morris saw it himself. This wasn't just filling a roster spot. It was a philosophical choice. It was a part of our draft. We wanted to add a little edge to our football team. All the great football players that I've been around, they've got edge. They didn't just draft a player. They drafted an attitude. And James Pearce Jr. showed up ready to prove them right. So get ready for some explosive plays from James Pearce Jr. at the training camp. The young player is turning heads with his impressive skills and athleticism. James Pearce Jr. is making a statement and proving himself as a force to be reckoned with in the NFL. But as a rookie, rookies supposed to come in camp. They're supposed to know their place. But James Pearce Jr. is rewriting the rules at Falcons training camp with his aggressive, in-your-face style. In the NFL, there's a quiet understanding for rookies. Show up, learn the playbook, and maybe keep your head down for a little while. Respect the vets. It's a ladder you're supposed to climb one step at a time. But what happens when a rookie shows up and decides the fastest way to earn respect isn't to wait for it, but to punch it right in the mouth? What happens when a first-year player doesn't get in line, but starts his own line? Well, in Atlanta, that's exactly what's happening. One rookie didn't just get the memo. He ripped it to shreds. He's not just making plays. He's starting fights. He's challenging veterans, and he's forcing everybody from the offensive line to our $180 million contract to pay attention. This is the story of James Pearce Jr., the rookie who was trying to hammer a new violent identity into the Atlanta Falcons defense, one chaotic play at a time. The Atlanta Falcons defense was a weak point. The first round pick, James Pearce Jr., is single-handedly changing the culture with his violent and urgent style of play. From dominating the line to scrimmage, line of scrimmage to sparkling intense scuffles, he's injecting a level of aggression and chaos in the team hasn't seen in years. James Pearce Jr. arrived in Atlanta with an impressive collegiate resume. In 3 seasons at Tennessee, he amassed 19.5 sacks, 29.5 tackles for loss, and 113 quarterback pressures. His 2023 season was particularly dominant, where he led the SEC in sacks with 10 and had a pass rush grade that ranked 3rd in the nation. The Falcons, who ranked second to last in the league with just 31 sacks in 2024, saw a player with the raw talent and the explosive first step to transform their defensive front. Guys, let that sink in for a minute. You had a guy that played in the SEC, one of the toughest defensive conference there is. Not only did he get 19.5 sacks, 29.5 sacks for loss, 113 quarterback pressures, he had a pass rush grade in 3rd place. So you have to wonder, why would one incident, and it wasn't a morale thing, one incident would drop a player that far down off the draft boards? Now, some may question, say, hey, there were other teams that needed other needs for their team. So that gave them precedent and knocked James Pearce Jr. back down. But I just don't get that. You talk about a guy who almost led the SEC in sacks. Well, he did lead the SEC. Almost unstoppable. Now, the only knock that I have on him, I would like for him to be just a little bit heavier. Just a little bit. I think he's around 250, I think. 240, 250, somewhere around in that range. I keep seeing different stuff on different reports, but somewhere around in there. But John Abraham was the perfect specimen when you talk about edge rusher. Perfect build. Now, some are saying that because of his first step, James Pearce Jr. will be heavier. Will be faster than John Abraham. If that is so, guys, we have another Lawrence Taylor in the building. If that's the case, if they're comparing him to John Abraham and saying that he is faster. Now, I get it. Yeah, players today are faster. But let's see if James Pearce Jr. can make that transition from college level, SEC college level, to the NFL level. But from the second he hit practice, it was obvious Pearce wasn't there to make friends. He was there to make a statement. He was there to make a statement and make it plain and simple that he was there to earn his job, take a job, and prove his point. Coaches describe him as being prideful as it gets, and he plays with a massive chip on his shoulders. He brings relentless energy and a physicality that right away started to annoy the veterans trying to block him. He wasn't just holding his own in drills, he was winning them, showing off the speed and power that made him a first-round pick. But it wasn't just his play that was loud. Teammate Jesse Bates, whose locker is right next to Pearce, says the rookie has no hesitation in him. If he thinks the locker room needs better music, he's grabbing the aux cord. If he wants to get after the quarterback, he just does it. This is the exact mindset the Falcons paid a premium for, the natural edge Morris believed could transform the entire defense. And it didn't take long for that edge to start some fires. The real question is, what makes James Pearce Jr. tick? What drives him to perform at such a high level? For him, it's about more than just making a name for himself in the league. It's about being the best version of himself. It's been a total rise in action, like the fight that defined the tone of this training camp. So you can imagine a lot of guys coming back from a well-rested vacation into training camp, and walkthroughs were literally just that, walkthroughs. Jog-throughs were just that, jog-throughs, but not for James Pearce Jr. He raised the tempo. So where he was playing at a faster level, everybody else had to play catch up, and that's where the attitude came in at. A lot, a lot of people look at the new kid, the rookie, and say, "What are you trying to prove?" James Pearce is not going to answer that. He's going to show them what he's trying to prove. But after a full week of the training camp, things finally boiled over. It started in a team drill, first team offense versus the second team defense. Pearce lined up on the edge, got into it with guard Matthew Bergeron. It started with a shoving, but things escalated fast. Bergeron's helmet came off, and players from both sides jumped in to break it up. Veteran Leonard Floyd, already in a mentor role, rushed to his rookie's defense. You think a coach will pull the rookie aside and tell him, "Hey, man, take a breath. No, that didn't happen." Most coaches would say, "Hey, man, take a breath. Y'all think you need to calm down a little bit." That is not what happened to James Pearce Jr. On the very next play, it happened again. This time, Pearce locked up with veteran tackle Caleb McGarry. After the whistle, McGarry was screaming at the rookie, his own helmet off, as teammates swarmed in again. Now, some would think that James Pearce Jr. was sent in on a death wish or on a mission to intentionally do this, right? But this is James Pearce's natural attitude, his natural instinct. The back-to-back fights brought practice to a screeching halt, and Coach Morris had to pull the whole team to the midfield to calm things down. Morris later said the physicality went probably a little too physical for his liking, but I love the intent. But just listen to how the coaches and players talk about it. Defensive coordinator Jeff Ulbrich said while it went a little too far, it was a good lesson to be learned. He explained, "You're going to get agitated. In those moments, you got to thrive, not retaliate." It was a test for a player whose anger sometimes got the best of him. Even the offensive guys, the one he was fighting, seemed to get it. When receiver Ray McLeod was asked about it, he just laughed. "I told the DBs, as long as y'all don't jump in, y'all good. We'll spare y'all." Other than that, we let the big boys tussle it out. They weren't just random fights. They were messy, violent birth of a new culture with a rookie leading the charge. And to play that shock Cousins, scrapping with the O-line gets you noticed. It earns you a reputation. But to really prove you belong, you have to make a play that turns the head of the man himself, the 4-time Pro Bowler, Kirk Cousins. That moment came after the fights, after Pearce had already established himself as the main event of the day. He had been sent to the sideline to cool off. But when he came back, he had another trick up his sleeve. The defining moment of James' performance came during a intense drill. He made an incredible play, showcasing his lightning-quick reflexes and razor-sharp instincts. It was one of those moments where you could see the potential for greatness. That play didn't just impress the coaches, it also turned the heads among his peers. When you're out there giving it your all and making game-changing plays, people take notice. James' determination and raw talent are undeniable. That kind of performance can make all the difference in a player's career. For James, it was about building on that momentum and taking it to the regular season. And that's why I'm so anxious to see what he's going to be able to do against other teams that have that same ill will intent that he has in pre-camp. In training camp. But James Pearce's journey through the Falcons training camp has been nothing but short of remarkable. With his talent, drive, and dedication, he's definitely one to watch. The offense was running a standard pass play. Cousins dropped back, and from the edge, Pearce just exploded off the line. He beat his blocker with pure speed, but he wasn't done. As Cousins threw the ball, Pearce shot his long arms up and batted the pass down right at the line. A lot of what we saw when he was at the University of Tennessee. I didn't research how many batted balls down that he had, but it was a lot. At least 2 a game, it seems, but it was a lot. But it was a flash of raw game challenge, changing speed, the exact kind of athletic disruptive play this Falcons defense has been starving for. It wasn't just a deflected pass, it was a message. In that one play, Pearce showed everyone why the Falcons traded a future first rounder for him. The speed, the power, and the instinct to wreck a play. It was so impressive that Cousins repeatedly right up to the rookie afterward to give him the props. He wasn't just getting under the offensive line skin. He was earning the respect of his quarterback. He was frequently in the backfield, a constant pest, and as one reporter noted, the tip of the spear for an attacking defense. The reaction to Pearce's chaotic arrival has been a mix of admiration and calls for focus. Nobody wants to put out the fire, but the veterans know it needs to be aimed in the right direction. And I have no doubt that he will do that. Actually, I think it will definitely increase because you're going to have guys of like mindset that set out to destroy one another, which means Pearce's attitude is going to increase. You guys remember when, well, a lot of you don't remember when Lawrence Taylor came into the league, how he was this passive linebacker because he flip-flopped from both linebacker down to edge rusher. He played both. But you remember he was that nice guy helping people up off the field after he tackled them or sacked them. But then something clicked in him. And you saw a whole new beast come out of Lawrence Taylor. Purely unstoppable. Even when you double team him, he was unstoppable. But Leonard Floyd, the 32-year-old vet, has taken Pearce under his wing. After the scuffles, Floyd pulled Pearce aside, not to yell at him, but to coach him. I tried to bring him to the side and tell him to cool himself down before he gets really crazy with it. He's a good guy. He comes out and works hard. The linemen just don't like it. You know how it goes. So that's a good thing. If I'm the offensive lineman, I'm going to give him all I got. I'm not going to get mad. Because I feel like if, and it's cliche to say it, I'm going to help you help me. I'm going to help you help this team. I'm going to help you be the best version of yourself that you can be. So I don't know exactly what went down between Pearce and Bergeron. I don't know. It may have been a hard jab to the chest or a hard jab, to the ribs or something like that, or side of the head or whatever. But Bergeron really shouldn't have gotten mad, right? I like to see that attitude there, but I don't want to see it taken out on each other. Now you're going to have skirmishes in camp. It's hot. You're tired. You've been out there just probably a little longer than you should have. You probably have run one too many plays, and people get antsy. So things, the temperament gets the best of us. But it's a tightrope, right? So if you got a guy like James Pearce Jr. Showing up in camp, performing the way he's performing, a guy that's aiming to be the best, a guy that's aiming to be the starter. And he seemingly can't wait to get his hands on opposing teams. But like I said, guys, it's a tightrope, and the Falcons are walking it. They went out and specifically found a player with this attitude. They want the controlled violence, that outside linebackers that Coach Jaquez Smith talks about. And you talking about Jaquez Smith, he was a nice linebacker himself with controlled violence. He gave the Falcons all we could handle when he was playing. But they need the discipline to go with it. The challenge for the coaches is to turn Pearce's raw aggression into sacks, not 15-yard penalties. They have to teach him the pro game without toning down the very edge that make him a weapon, not without toning down the person that they want him to be. So if he can get away with that attitude, not hurting the team, like like picking up 15-yard penalties, unsportsmanlike penalties, Pearce is going to be a force to be working with. The early signs are good for all his aggression at Tennessee, where he led the country in quarterback pressures. Pearce was only flagged for 4 penalties in his last 2 seasons, all for being offsides. So he didn't get any unsportsmanlike. So that tells you that is controlled violence. That quick step is what got him in trouble. And we can take that. Because even if he does come to this level and he picks up a few offside penalties, I have no doubt that he will make up for it. But that suggests a player who, despite his fire, knows where the line is on game day. He can turn it off with the switch and, turn it on when needed. So when you talk about controlled violence, Reggie White played with controlled violence. Mark Gastineau, although he did pick up a lot of unsportsmanlike, he played with controlled violence. So forging an identity for Pearce is going to be Jeff Ulbricht's. I'm not going to say concern, but it's going to be one item to check on the to-do list. What's happening with James Pearce is more than just a rookie having a good camp. It's the start of a cultural earthshake in Atlanta. For 7 years, this defense has been defined by what it hasn't been. Now it's being defined by a rookie who refuses to take a back seat, who treats every snap like a fist fight. But the edge rusher that Raheem Morris wanted, the violence that Jeff Ulbricht is expecting, he's the attitude. That's forcing everyone around him to raise their game to the next level. The fights, the incredible plays, the nod of respect from a star quarterback, the acceptance of Jesse Bates. It's all part of the story. James Pearce Jr. isn't just being handed a new defensive culture. He's building it himself. So the question isn't whether the Falcons finally have a pass rush. The real question is the rest of the NFL ready for James Pearce Jr.? So I have to ask you guys, is James Pearce aggressive style the exact medicine that Falcons defense has needed for years? If you think so, drop it down, your answer down in the comment section. Or is this a discipline problem waiting to explode on Sundays? Guys, for me, I don't care if he pulls an induced Lawrence Taylor, a wilding out Mark Gastineau, or a disciplined Reggie White. So long as he lives up to the hype, he's all good with me. A football is not a touchy-feely sport. It's not a sport where you bring your feelings. You have to bring the violence. Truth be told, that's what it is. So I don't want a choir boy playing defensive end. As long as he can turn that switch on and off, James Pearce gets the nod from me. Having a little edge from an edge rusher is no knock on any player at this position. So what do you guys think about his performance so far in training camp? Let me know in the thoughts below. All right. I look forward to doing even more content. And this is a wrap for this update on a future phenom that's bound to make a name for himself into the league and make a lot of noise doing it. If you're looking for more Falcons update, guys, be sure to check out my other videos. I've got plenty of content coming your way, so hit the like button Hit those subscribe buttons for more in-depth content on our beloved football team. Hitting that notification bell will ensure you don't miss a moment of excitement. Until the next video, Falcon fanatics, join me as we all continue to rise up. One. All right, Pandemic family, that's a wrap for this episode. Thank you all so much for tuning in and sharing your passion for our Atlanta Falcons with us. Your energy and support are what make this community truly special. If you've enjoyed this video, please give it a 2 thumbs up, leave a comment below with your thoughts, and of course, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any of our exciting content. And seriously, don't forget to hit that notification bell right next to that subscribe button so that you'll be the first to know when we drop new videos about our beloved Dirty Birds. And as always, continue to rise up, and we'll see you in the Super Bowl.